Thank you. Now is our time when we get to do some meditation. So I invite you to get things out of your lap and get those feet firmly planted on the floor so you're good and grounded into Mother Earth. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. We'll begin taking some deep centering breaths, breathing in and letting go. And as you're doing this, you can feel your shoulders relaxing as you just allow the chair to support you. And let that monkey mind settle down for a few moments. There's no place you have to be. There's nothing that you have to do, but be present right here and now in this moment. Breathing and letting go. This morning, I invite you to bring into your mind someone that you have great love for. Could be someone, it could be a pet, could be a grandchild, a sibling, somebody that when you think about this one just warms your heart. So as you're thinking about this one and you're breathing in and breathing out, just imagine that that love that you're feeling in your heart is like a big pink bubble of light. And with each breath, that heart space expands and that pink light grows and grows. Because you have such love now in your emotional beingness, and it expands and grows until your entire body is filled with pink light. And now, as it continues to expand, as you feel the presence of that person as if they are right here with you, you let that pink light expand so that it envelops the person on either side of you, in front of you, in back of you. And before you know it, your light of love envelops this entire sanctuary. There are no limits and boundaries on the love that you can express from your heart center. It is infinite. That's how much love you are. That's how much love you came to express in this incarnation. And so I invite you now in a moment of silence to see that light expanding out into the city, into the state, into our country, into the world. And now I invite you to see that light completely surrounding our planet in a moment of silence. Because you are God in expression. You are love in expression. You came here to be that love and that light for our world. And so you can, every morning before you leave the house, you can take just a few moments And you can prepare your day by filling yourself with this light of love and sending it out before you, blessing the people that you're going to be seeing that day, blessing any practitioners or folks that you're going to be visiting, or doctors, or whatever you're doing. Send that light out and bless those people before you even have your meeting or your gathering or your appointment. This is how powerful you are to show up as love. And so we say thank you, indwelling Spirit, because we know that love is the healing harmonizer of all things. According to co-founder Charles Fillmore, it heals everything. And so you can't have too much love. You can't be too much love. You show up as that, and you attract that right back to you. And so we say thank you, indwelling Spirit, for this sweet reminder of who we are and why we're here, and how good it is to know the impact we can have on our planet. And so now we make our way back into the sanctuary from blessing our beautiful planet. And we say thank you, God, that this is so. And so it is, and so we allow it to be. Amen. Whenever you're ready, just open your beautiful eyes. I find it absolutely fascinating when we learn to tune into that intuition and guidance that's in our lives. Last week, Andy shared with me a story about how he was out shopping somewhere and he saw this shop vac, and he was like, I think I need to buy that. He had no intention of going and buying a shop vac, but because he follows intuition, he purchased that thing and took it home. Well, a few days later, a repairman's at his house, and it's the only thing that could help fix what was wrong at Andy's house was the shop vac. Okay, this is just how this stuff works. So I had a similar experience. I think I was at Walmart. I was walking through that clearance aisle at Walmart, and I saw this exercise ball, you know, those big, huge balls, and I thought, oh, I should get one of those. Like I was probably going to use it. I really need to get one of those. I bought the thing, I brought it home, and there it sat on my bar's counter, you know. And a couple of days later, my son walked through, and Matt said, Mom, where did you get this exercise ball? And I said, oh, you know, I picked it up when I was at Walmart the other day. And he said, I have been wanting to get one of those for Angel for a week. And I said, there it is, poof, poof, it's yours, you know. So when we're tuned in and tapped in, when we don't question, see, a lot of times we question that because we're thinking, I don't really need that, or, you know, but you don't know who does, right? You don't always, sometimes you purchase a book and you don't really know who it's for, but you're like, I have to have this book. You know, I don't know why, but I have to have this book. You just have to follow it because you can't question it. You can't question guidance and intuition. You just have to go with it. You have to go with it, and you have to follow it because we're tuned in, tapped in, part of the one mind, right? And so we need to listen and pay attention. So we have a new theme. We're in our 11th month of our 12-month series. And so these are all the pieces of our lives for those of you that are new. And every month we've focused on a different aspect of how diverse we are in our lives and how many things we have sort of grasping at us. And so abundance, of course, grateful for abundance is our theme for this month, for November, and it's pointing toward finances. However, you and I know that abundance isn't nearly just about finances. It's about every other thing in that life wheel. We want abundance in relationship. We want abundance in expanded consciousness, right? We want abundance in all of those things. So when we think about being grateful for abundance, It's not just about money. Money is just a tool. Money is just energy. It's about our lives. We want abundant lives, don't we? We want to have abundance in every aspect of our life. So we have a new affirmation for this month, and I want you to feel it when you say it together with me. With clear intention, I open wide to the flow of divine abundance into my life. Because you know what? If you're not open to receive, guess what? You're not going to receive. It's all about where are you sitting in your consciousness. If you're sad about everything that's happened and you're moaning and complaining and griping, guess what? Your heart is all this. It's all it's contracted. It's not expanded. So we open wide to receive because we don't know what gifts of God are coming to us or how they're coming to us. So I love that we are talking about abundance, and we are in this Adventures in Faith series. We're in Florence Shin's book, and it's about how to play the game of life, and we've been studying it now. We're on chapter, I think, 6 and 7 and 8. We're pretty far down in the book. There's not too much left. We only have like one more week left, and so luckily, these next 2 chapters, very simply, the first one is love. And the next one is intuition or guidance. 2 of my most favorite things to talk about in one Sunday in less than 20 minutes. So here we go. Florence Shin defines what real love is, and this is what she says. Selfless and free from fear. It pours itself out upon the object of its affection without demanding any return. Its joy is in the joy of giving. Love is God in manifestation, and it is the strongest magnetic force in the universe. When I was in Texas and I was new to Unity, my licensed teacher, Maria Gonzalez, told me, Preciosa, Preciosa, splash your love everywhere. That was her consciousness. She lived love in expression. She lived that truth of unity and these teachings that we know. Florence goes on to share that there's a couple of stories that she wants to talk to us about in this book about how we sabotage our own opportunities to attract real love to ourselves. You know what happens often in a relationship? Especially if you're not the one who wants to break up, someone breaks up with you, you have a tendency to have some kind of hurt feelings about that. And it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It could be friendship. It could be siblings falling out. It could be any kind of number of things. But you know how when you're hurting, you sort of want the other person to hurt a little bit too, don't you? It's like, you caused this. You did this to me. And this is exactly the opposite of what we want to be. That's kind of our fall to default, oh, poor me, isn't it? Oh, my God, you hurt me. I hope you hurt too. Well, that's not how we want it. It needs to be the exact opposite. And so Florence is talking about when you're in that kind of energy, that's what you get more of. So you don't want to be in that, I'm so mad at you. I hope something bad happens to you. You don't want to be in that energy. You want to be in that, oh, okay. You taught me some things. I learned something about myself. I sort of learned what I don't want in a relationship, right? I mean, every single thing is a lesson. Every single thing. So she says that when you're no longer disturbed by that person's cruelty, that person will cease to be cruel. Because as you are attracting it through your own emotions, we know how this works. We know who we are and how we show up is what we draw to us. It's all about our energy, and it's all about our principles. So to me, what you're focusing on expands, right? So we talk about our 5 principles. Number 1 is God is, I am, and the third one, I think. Okay, so what you think about, you bring about. So if you're focusing on you want something bad to happen to some other person, guess what? What goes around comes around. Didn't we talk about boomerang last week? You know, you don't want to put that out there because it's going to come back in some form or fashion. So I learned this a long time ago in Unity, and to me, it has been one of the best teachings of my life. And that is when you have difficult people, and I know I'm not the only one. Maybe it's a family member. I mean, you know, it could be a friend. You know, it could be any kind of person. But when you have difficult people in your life, they're here to teach you something. And sometimes it's patience. You know, sometimes it's other things. But the best thing that you can do is say the Unity blessing for them. I love you, I bless you, and I appreciate you, and I wish you well on your way, right? To somebody else's life, to do something else to somebody else. That's what changes your energy, is because you become the one who is being the love, you see. You're not being a victim. You're being the love. And so that's how you change the energy. And I'll tell you, it works. It works 100% of the time. If you have somebody that is troubling you in your life, quit talking badly about them to the people at the water fountain or the coffee shop or wherever you're meeting, and you're complaining and whining about it, because that is not going to help you at all. So love them and bless them and appreciate them. Florence Shin talks about, you know, how we need to see it rightly. We need to see our drawing to us that right and perfect relationship, and them being happy as they go on their way. And she said there was this brotherhood of people in India where instead of saying good morning to each other, they say only, I salute the divinity in you. I salute the divinity in you. They never said good morning. And they see God in all things. They see God in every single thing. And guess what? There's no harm that comes to them. They are living in that bubble of love, right? And so they're not having opportunities to express those kind of negative emotions that have a tendency to come back on us. We can do that, you see. We can do that. We can do the same thing, but we have to choose it. There's an old saying, no man is your enemy, no man is your friend, every man is your teacher. Every person, every relationship, every family member that drives you crazy is your teacher. I believe, as a soul, chose that before we came, you know. We chose that. We're learning something that we decided ahead of time that we were going to learn this lifetime. And so we brought these people. We have this soul pack or something with them, and we're coming together and we're learning this. We're learning this. So when we realize principle one, that God is all there is, ever-present God in all things, then we know that everything that happens for our highest and best. That's part of our faith. That's how we become grounded in these teachings, that everything that happens is always for our highest and best. It may not look like it. It may not feel like it. We may not like it very much. But I trust you. Trust it. Trust it. It will unfold. So I want to take you to Scripture today. We're in Ephesians. I love this Scripture. It's in chapter 3, verses 17 through 19, and it says, and that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, as you are being rooted and grounded in love. I pray, this is Paul talking to the Ephesians, I pray that you may have the power to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and length and height and depth, and to know the love of Christ that surpasses knowledge, so that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. Wow, don't you want that? I want that. I want to be filled with all the goodness that God can possibly delve out to me. I want to be that open channel, right? Ready to receive what gifts that I have, those desires in my heart that I have. Love is the key. It was the key of all of Jesus' teachings, that we should first love God and love other people, right? And that's how we fulfill that law, is by living that. I have another favorite author that I love. Her name is Margaret Pounders, and she wrote this book called Laws of Love. And she says, God enjoys, experiences, and loves through our abundant living. How can we refuse his bountiful gifts, thereby denying God his rightful expression on the earthly plane? She goes on to say that many people refuse the riches because they don't know how to play the marvelous instruments of abundance. And do you know why? Because we know that it's about Jesus' teachings. He's told us how to do it. We're just not necessarily following it because we're second-guessing it. The way that we refuse the gifts of God, or we're not claiming our divinity. We're not remembering how precious and special and how powerful we are to be that expression of God and to be that love in our lives. We're resisting. We're second-guessing our intuition. We're not following through when we get the tap that says, you should do this, you should do this, you should read this, you should go visit this person, you should pick up the phone and call this one you think you're mad at. You know? We're not following through, so we're resisting. And I think that's what she's saying. We have low expectations. And when we have low expectations for our lives, we're not in that expanded place, are we? We're resisting the things that are coming to us. It's the Spirit is tapping, tapping, tapping always. But we're not necessarily tuned in and listening to it. So the next chapter is chapter 8, and it's on intuition or guidance. And basically what I understood Florence Shinn to say is that you cannot get out of problems until you lift your consciousness above, higher than the problem. You cannot solve your problem in the level of consciousness that you formed it, that you created it. So it's about lifting your consciousness and seeing it with spiritual eyes instead of with your physical eyes. We are so tuned into the physical, we forget that we are first and foremost spiritual beings, and we're supposed to see it from spirit, which sees everything good, which sees God in everything. So the first very 2 sentences of that chapter, to me, of Shinn's books, lays it out for us. She says, there is nothing too great of accomplishment for the man who knows the power of his word and who follows intuitive leads, because by the power of our word, he starts in action these unforeseen forces, these unseen forces, and can rebuild his body and remold his affairs. You see, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Anything is possible because we're not victims. And I love the whole idea about just ask and is given. It's really quite fascinating when we have a desire in our heart and we ask for something. We have a desire because you never know how it's going to come to you. You've just prayed or you've meditated about something that you want. And so you don't know how the guidance is going to come. So you have to be really paying attention, because it could be a song on the radio. It could be something somebody says. It could be a book you pick up. It could be a billboard. It could be a bumper sticker. It could be any number of ways that it comes to you. But the guidance is always there. When you have a desire of your heart, it creates this thing. So that's what I think that Margaret's talking about, and what Florence Shinn is talking about, is you, from the power of your word, from the desire of your heart and the power of your word, and then you look for that guidance. You have emotion attached to it, and that creates a sort of an energy. it says, the universe goes, okay, so that's what you want. All right, I got it. And then you have to pay attention. I love this story of Edwene Gaines. She's the best prosperity teacher I know of in Unity, and she tells a story about it. She got this invite to go to this Wisconsin, like in the middle of February, and she gets there and she's like snowed in this hotel room, and she's like, why on earth did I come to Wisconsin in February? You know, it's like, it's cold here. And she's sitting in her room and the snow is coming down, and she's saying, God, I am going to need a sign that says I really need to be here. I don't think anybody's going to come. I mean, we're snowing outside. Nobody's going to come to this workshop. Why did I come? And she's just going on, you know, she's just going on. Going to need a sign. So she goes and she unpacks her suitcases and everything, and she just, you know, turns it over. She's going to ask for a sign. She's asked for a sign. She's waiting. I know I'm not Moses, she said, but I know I can get some sort of a sign here in this hotel room. So she goes and she opens up the curtain, and there's a church's advertisement on a billboard right across the street with a burning bush on it. That's how powerful we are. When we ask, it is given. That is how powerful. Now, it may not come exactly the way that you expect it to come, but usually it comes better. It comes better than what you asked for, because the universe knows, you know, what it is that you need. So I absolutely love that. When she quit bargaining, you know, bargaining with God, we have to pay attention. And I know what Florence says is that intuition is a spiritual faculty. She says it doesn't explain anything, but it simply points the way. And I know each and every one of you has had these intuitive experiences, haven't you? Where something happened and you got a thought, or you got an idea, or you heard something, or whatever. I know I have two very good ones. They were both back in Texas. One where I was compelled to stop on the way to work, and I did. I didn't really know why, but I did. I stopped at a drugstore or something, and then I went about my way to work, and there was a huge car accident there. I would have been in that car accident. So you got to pay attention. Your angels are always watching over you. The other time that I recall, it's so clear in my mind because it was so profound. I was pulling out of the parking lot of my previous ministry, and I was going somewhere. I don't know where I was going, but I had this compelling thought that I had to call Miss Loida on the telephone. Well, I was already out on the busy street, so I had to pull off the road onto the grass, pick up my phone, dial her number, and I'm like, hello, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you called. And I said, what's going on, Lloyd? And she said, well, I just got home from the doctor, and I had this thing done on my eye, and I can't see, and I can't drive, and I need to go to the drugstore. I need to get this, you know, some kind of patch for my eye, or, you know, it's not going to heal, and I don't know how to get it. And, oh my God, I'm so glad you called. Well, my best friend is an optometrist. And so I called her up, and she said, oh, I know what she needs. Went, got it, took it to Loida's house, left it there for her. The woman never forgot that act. She never forgot that. She kept calling me her angel. Now, all I did was pay attention to the tap. All I did was follow through. I didn't do anything. I just followed through, you see. And these things happen to you all the time. Each and every one of us are tuned in and tapped into spirit, and we know. There's a quote that I read this last week that says, you may not always see the results of your kindness, but every drop of positive energy that you ever put out changes the world for everyone. Do you get that? That's how we want to be, isn't it? That's how we want to be. So in my way of thinking, if you think about these pieces that I've thrown out, love and intuition, they go hand in hand. Because when you're in your heart, and when you know you're an expression of God, and you're here to be the love, to be the peace, and to show up as that, well, then you're already tuned in and tapped in, and so you're already getting all the intuition that you need. You're getting all the guidance. So you don't have to worry about anything. You just have to keep doing what you're doing. Practicing the presence of God in you every moment of the day. And it's not easy. People who think unity and new thought is easy, no, it's not. Being centered and grounded when you see catastrophe and chaos everywhere, it's the hardest job there is, isn't it? We have to keep doing the practices and bringing ourselves back, grounding ourselves. We have to really keep ourselves grounded. But these things do it. Love and intuition, I think, are the way to do it. Because when you're living from your divinity, you're living from your Christ consciousness. You're being the love you came here to be. And you can't go wrong because perfect love casts out fear, does it not? It's in the scriptures, yes. So I invite you to live from that place of groundedness. Enough preaching. Time for a joke. Okay, this joke is a little dated and you'll be able to tell, but it's just too funny not to tell you. Okay, so there's this gentleman. He's very wealthy and he travels to his villa in the Caribbean every summer or whenever he goes on vacation. Once a year, he goes to this villa. And so he just barely gets there, and he gets a telegram from his butler back home that says, "Cat dead." And he's like, oh my God, he loves this cat. So he flies home and does a sweet service for him and everything and takes good care of everybody there. And then he goes up to the butler and he said, you know, you could have really lightened that and spread that news out a little bit. That was kind of harsh and abrupt the way you did that. And the butler said, well, what would you want me to do? And I said, well, I think the first telegram says cat on roof, and maybe the second telegram says cat fell off roof. And then the third telegram says cat died. You know, at least then I'm sort of prepared. And the butler said, I'm so sorry, sir. That will never happen again. I promise you. And so the next year he's out. He's back in the Caribbean. He's back at his villa. And the butler sends another one. And it says, Mom on roof. Oh, my God. It's cute, isn't it? Even though nobody sends telegrams anymore. But so there's this wonderful book called Within You is the Power, and it's by Joseph Murphy. And I just want to read you this one piece. It says, become a channel for the divine. Dormant and inherent within you are all the powers of the infinite. A wonderful prayer to practice is as follows. God is, and his holy presence flows through me as beauty, harmony, love, joy, wisdom, understanding, divine guidance, and abundance. I know it's just as easy for God to become all these things as it is a blade of grass, and I give thanks that this is so. Reiterate these truths 3 or 4 times, night and day, making sure that you do not subsequently deny what you affirm, and then you will find that you really are a son or daughter of the infinite and a child of eternity. All the powers of the infinite begin to move through you, which is called in the Bible the Christ in you, the hope of glory. Look always to your spiritual inheritance and never to your human parents or your ancestors. You have power over your life and the means and capacity to change your world, to transform your world. That's the way it truly is. Namaste, everyone. Thank you. Okay, now we get to give from our good into the general fund of our community. And if you're online, hello, all of you folks on Zoom. It's so happy to have you here. I got to talk to some of them before we came on. Whether you're giving online through PayPal or Breeze, or whether you're giving your gift here today, or you've already sent it in through the mail, we are so grateful. Let's bless them together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so.